On the 30th of July 1966, England played in the World Cup final on home soil in none other than Wembley Stadium against West Germany in front of 98,000 people. And with the game being 2-2 headed into extra time, England through Hurst scored not only once but twice to avoid a penalty shootout and win the World Cup, securing their first World Cup and first ever international silverware. But since that glorious day in Wembley 58 years ago, England are yet to win another piece of international silverware. From a missed penalty by now manager Gareth Southgate in the semi-finals of a home Euro tournament that costed England, to their failed golden generations, to not even qualifying for the 94 World Cup, to getting knocked out by Iceland in the 2016 Euros, England have been a bitter disappointment time and time again. But since England's appointment of Gareth Southgate in November 2016, after being the interim manager for about 2 months, England have yet to get knocked out before the quarterfinal stage and have made it to back-to-back European finals despite falling short in both of them. Yet despite the undeniable success on paper that England have had under Gareth Southgate, the vast majority of English fans want to see Southgate get sacked and for a new manager to come into this team. But I'm almost certain that that will not happen, and Gareth Southgate's contract with England that expires at the end of the year will be extended by the English FA, and England won't fire their manager. But why do I think this? Well, that's what we'll be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Back of the Net here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. When the leaked video of then England manager Sam Allardyce came out, he had no choice but to resign as England's head coach. And former under-21 England coach and ex-Middlesbrough manager Gareth Southgate was put in temporary charge of England. Southgate was in charge of Middlesbrough for about 3 seasons, seeing Middlesbrough get relegated from the Premier League and him being sacked in the beginning of the Championship season the following season. He then was out of football management for about 4 years and then took charge of England's under-21 team in 2013, replacing Stuart Pearce. Now, Southgate wasn't by any means a huge success during his 3-year period in charge of the under-21s. He was pretty good, but just pretty good at that. However, after the resignation of Sam Allardyce in 2016, England decided to hire Southgate to be the interim manager. And while in charge temporarily, he saw England get 2 wins and draw twice, that being good enough apparently for England to hire him on a permanent basis. Now, despite the hate, one thing has to be admitted between all of us. England under Gareth Southgate on paper have improved massively from the disappointing mess that they have always been for the better part of 50 years. England have improved. Yes, England are still yet to get over the line, but they have been much more consistent and much more successful in major international tournaments. More so than they have ever been. In his first major international tournament in charge of England, Gareth Southgate saw them make it all the way to the semi-finals of the World Cup, being knocked out by the dark horses of the tournament in Croatia, and then just 4 years earlier, 2014 World Cup, England didn't even make it out of their group in Brazil. And overall, despite losing in the semi-finals of the 2018 World Cup, the sentiment around Gareth Southgate was very positive. And 3 years later, Southgate followed up a World Cup semi-final appearance with a final appearance in Euro 2020 against Italy, already making history, being that was England's first ever Euro final appearance. England were very unlucky to lose at home in Wembley to Italy in a penalty shootout, but again, after the tournament, the sentiment around England and Southgate was very positive. The following year, Southgate and England made it to the quarterfinals of the 2022 World Cup and lost to defending champions in France. And I mean, they weren't great there. They didn't have the greatest performance against France. And that's kind of when the sentiment started to change around England, with a lot of English fans not liking him and saying that he's wasting a golden generation. And going into this Euro tournament, England by far had the best team on paper out of pretty much every other country around the tournament. But despite this, England, for lack of a better word, essentially limped to the final. Yes, making back-to-back European final appearances, but they were horrible throughout the whole tournament. They never really had any games that they were superb in, winning just 2 games in regulation time, beating Serbia 1-0 and beating Netherlands in the semi-finals 2-1. Yet last night in Berlin against Spain, England once again fell short in an international final, losing 2-1, seeing their 58-year trophyless drought continue. But again, under Gareth Southgate, England have drastically improved from the team that they used to be. Under Gareth Southgate, England not only made their first Euro final appearance, but they have made back-to-back final appearances and have overall become a fairly strong team in any international tournament. Now, I'm not praising the fact that you make a final and lose twice. but I am saying compared to where they used to be, where they barely even qualified for Euros or they just made out the group stage, they have now made it to back-to-back Euro finals. So there is obvious improvement. Now, the reason England have actually improved is a pure reason why English fans have an issue with the ex-Middlesbrough boss. Yes, on paper, England have drastically improved, but a huge reason, and in my opinion, the only reason that England is getting better and are making it to these finals is purely because of the talent improving in general. Now, yes, England have had a golden generation here and there that have done absolutely nothing, but over the past decade, from before Southgate to now, the overall improvement of the English players is worlds apart. In 2014, England under Roy Hodgson had an Asian team. They had the likes of Glenn Johnson, Phil Jagielka and Adam Lallana all playing considerable minutes for the Three Lions. When you compare that to the England team now on paper with the likes of Kyle Walker, Bukayo Saka, Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Phil Foden, I can go on. On paper, this England squad is arguably one of the best squads that England has ever had, and is better than both the 2014 and 2010 World Cup squads, especially in terms of just overall depth and quality in their depth. So the improvements, according to most people, including me, is based down to purely just the English squad and the players being so much better than they used to be, and the English squad being so littered with talent that it's almost impossible to not succeed or go far with this team in any tournament. Now, my take on Gareth Southgate is that he is a manager that does the bare minimum every single time. He has never, at least to what I can think of, despite being in charge for almost a decade, Gareth Southgate has never tactically beaten any team. Every time England win, it's almost purely based on just how good of players that England have, as opposed to a tactical masterclass from Gareth Southgate. I have never seen a tactical masterclass while Southgate is in charge of England. And even in big games when Gareth Southgate may make some good subs, like bringing on Ollie Watkins and Cole Palmer against Netherlands, it's still down to the pure quality of the team. Gareth Southgate does not help the English players fulfill their potential. They almost never play entertaining football and almost always have to rely on pure talent to get them out of the mess that Southgate and his tactics have put them in. This past Euros, England were an absolute mess in every single game. Even against Netherlands, that was their best performance of the Euros. They still struggled to outright dominate Netherlands, and they only won against Netherlands because of just overall talent and the squad depth that they had. In Euro 2024, England has had to rely on a 91st minute winner to beat Netherlands. They had to rely on an 80th minute equalizer against Switzerland and then beat them on penalties to progress. They had to rely on a 95th minute bicycle kick from Jude Bellingham to go to extra time against Slovakia. England have by no means been impressive and are tactically rigid and boring under Southgate. Gareth Southgate in no way improves this England team, and he, in my opinion, should not be kept as the English manager. Yet, despite all of this, I'm here to tell you that Gareth Southgate will be going nowhere anytime soon. Fabrizio Romano reported 2 days ago before the final that the English FA had no plans to fire Southgate and they want to keep him on for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Gareth Southgate, despite never bringing much as a manager to Middlesbrough, to the under-21 English team, to the professional English team, is still going to be kept on. And the thing is, he has an extremely successful record with England, and therefore he will not be getting sacked until he underperforms in an international tournament, something that he has yet to rarely do. Despite his success not bringing any silverware, he has improved England, he's brought them to back-to-back European finals, taken them to a semi-final of a World Cup, and the English FA do not plan to let Gareth Southgate go. Even though the only reason his record looks nearly as good as it is purely because of the talent in this golden generation for England. I can almost guarantee you that despite what the English fans say, despite what general football fans can see, Gareth Southgate will be in charge of England come 2026.